Cam. Let's start with the Dolphins and Caleb Douglas.
Oh, it's a great catch.
Spoiler alert. Preseason game.
Catch.
Here we go.
Great catch. Huh?
That's really good.
Did he go left-handed there, Nick?
Quarterback sprint right there. DB's nightmare. He got the penalty, too. It's tough. Oh, that's an impressive catch. Yeah.
That's a sick catch.
Yeah, that's a great catch. But was it better
And that's holding, Dom.
than the throw the flag.
You pick the flag up, man.
Was it better than
That's holding.
Was it better than Camden Brown's catch for the Cowboys?
It's a incredible.
Camden,
He had himself a day. He's over there making plays.
Camden Brown.
Boy, that really
All right,
was a great
I think
play.
it's a nice catch. Douglas one's better.
You like
Douglas
Caleb
better?
Douglas one, the first
Yeah,
one better
yeah.
because he's fighting off the defender at the same
You know
time.
what I like? Receivers that get open. Create separation, both you guys.
Same.
Create some separation.
Same, Don.
We got good catches.
Dom doesn't like it when
to
the
the good
coverage
side.
is good and the
Yeah, that's
catch is
it.
made.
I don't like when the coverage is good and they one-handed. That ain't fair.
Those
I don't
were
like it.
some good offensive moments from the weekend. If you don't want bad offensive moments, you need to avert your eye. The Jaxson Dart made another trip to the blue medical tent. This one in the Giants preseason opener against Minnesota. Look at this hit. He just gets absolutely lit up coming from the right. Never saw it coming. Obviously, the back missed the pickup. Afterwards, John Harbaugh and Dart both addressed the play, who was to blame, and why this issue will not go away.
The way he should have been hit there. I mean, it just shouldn't have happened. That was a basic protection. Should have been protected, and we expect him to be, in that situation, to be protected in the future.
As far as the blue tent, like I really respect the rules and the thought behind, the NFL has of keeping players healthy and reviewing things. But at the same time, I'm still puzzled by it just feeling like every time that I get hit, I just find my way in there, which at times I still try to wrap my head around.
Nick, you have a funny look on your face.
Hey, find my way in there.
Yeah.
You got lit up and you laid on the ground for an extra second. You have to go to the blue medical tent. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe he just doesn't like the color. Or a red medical tent. He might be a lot happier.
I don't know if everyone got it, but I did. But here's the bottom line. You say he lays there. I believe afterwards I heard him say or someone say he had the wind knocked out of him.
Correct.
But here's the reality of it. First of all, I mean, just to put to rest the part about the play itself. None of that is on Dart, right?
Less than 1%
of
of that is on Jaxson Dart. It's on the running back.
Clearly, right? It's on the running back. He has to pick that up. The second part of it is he's asking the question, am I being singled out because of my history? The answer to that, I don't know. I suppose it's not inconceivable. The answer is yes.
Well, the answer has to be yes. Watching that hit more and more and more, you sit there and go, no part of his head is contacted, and no part of his head even touches the ground remotely with some force. And so I sit there and I go, if this was Kyler Murray in this game, who's the starting quarterback for the Vikings, is he going into the tent in this situation? I would be shocked by that answer being yes. So I'm actually in agreement with Jaxson the more and more I watch it, going, why is he there's no need for him to go into the tent off of that hit.
But he doesn't pop right back up. So if you're the spotter, right, and you see the guy take a hit like that, and then he's lying on the ground for longer than you might expect, hey, check him out. Like, what if he was blacked out for a second? Like, this is what it's for. Any kind of sign that you might be in some sort of distress, that they're supposed to flag that, and he had to miss, 2 plays?
To be clear, it's also not just a potential concussion that you can go in the tent for. So he got hit and laid there. It could be anything.
Yes,
so they could be checking out his ribs or whatever. He may be saying, I'm fine, and he obviously was fine. I guess what he's saying is...
Yeah, that's the thing, right? If he wants to have a conversation, and John Harbaugh wants to have a conversation with the NFL and the officials about, hey, don't just assume because it's Jaxson Dart that he needs to go to the tent every time he gets hit. That's a fair conversation for them to have, and maybe it has some effect. But what would really help is if he stopped getting hit so hard.
Yeah, I think there's this accountability that he has to take upon himself and sitting there year 2 and realizing year 1 that was a big storyline. And so we can't then play in some ways like the victim of why do every time I get hit, I'm going to the blue tent, but then at times putting my face on linebackers and trying to run through them on first down in the first quarter. So there is a little bit of that learning experience. I do want to caution this though, because I go and think of it, if people after Josh Allen's rookie year said, Josh, you gotta change the way you play, Josh would not be trending to becoming a Hall of Famer.
Right.
And so I'm sure there's a lot of people in Jaxson Dart's ear saying, hey, you got to change the way you play. I would push back against that thought process.
People told Josh Allen he had to change the way he played. It just wasn't about the running. All quarterbacks have to change something about the way that they play. I think that Jaxson Dart's personality is a thing that I find a little bit more unique and interesting, that he brings this kind of linebacker mentality to the game. And I think it's insane that he's bothered by going to the blue tent in a preseason game when he got blasted and stayed on the ground for an extra second. If that's what he's pushing back on, that's just stupid. But the idea that maybe there's going to come a time in an important game where he doesn't take a big hit, but they put him in the tent and take him out. I understand trying to protect against that, but right now you're in a preseason game. The whole story about your last season is you got hit in the head too much, and you went down and stayed for a second. You're gonna go into the tent.
Yeah, but you can't sit there and understand. If that was Fernando Mendoza,
but it's not.
I understand, but you can understand his frustration of going, that's a relatively normal hit. I've taken significantly more aggressive shots. I understand those. Like, there's probably a point where Jackson's sitting there going, all right, maybe I'm not going to lower my head as much this year to try to not go into the tent. That one.
Okay, I get it from his perspective because he's a player and I understand it, but I just don't want anyone else to be watching this and thinking that what the concussion spotter did right there was wrong.
Right.
It was the most obvious thing to do right there if your responsibility is to spot potential risky concussions. You have a star quarterback in a preseason game who has a history of getting hit in the head. The worst thing you can do as a concussion spotter is be like, I don't think that is it. No, you went down, you stayed for a full count. Get your ass in the tent. Hop up. You don't want to go in the tent? Hop up. Like, that's right.
I think that the point that you made there, very briefly, is that this obviously doesn't matter on August 14th. But there will come a time when it might matter if all of a sudden he misses a critical third down in a big game or whatever it is because he's being checked out. And he doesn't want to be singled out that way. And the best way not to get singled out that way is not to be the guy who's famous for getting hit all the time.
And one of the aspects of his game that they want him to work on is getting rid of the ball quicker while he's in the pocket. I'm not saying this Saturday was an example of that, but that is one thing. You know, they are working on ways to keep him safe. Again, if the Giants want to talk to the NFL and say, hey, we just want to make sure that it's not because of who he is that you're making these calls, that's perfectly within their rights to have that conversation in a sober moment during the preseason.
If I were whoever they called in NFL, I would say that it's your responsibility to protect your quarterback. I am not going to put myself, the team, or the league in a situation where we have a star player in a major city be failed because of our inability to protect them.
That's fair.
So my job is to keep you safe or to keep the game looking good. Your job is to keep him upright. If you keep him off the ground, I won't put him in the tent.
Final word.
This is a still good learning example and moment for the Giants and Harbaugh with Jaxson Dart to just truly grasp the sensitivity of maybe you are going to be viewed a little bit differently than other quarterbacks. You have to take it upon yourself to not give them more opportunities to take you from game to tent.
All right, we'll come back with more on him, and Dan has some tape on Jaxson Dart a little later. Meanwhile, I want to run the bases. This was a really interesting day yesterday. Logan Henderson is the guy the Brewers wouldn't trade for Tarek Skubal.